Surely I cry if I can't get rye whiskey. I surely will die. I'll eat when I'm hungry and I'll drink when I'm dry. If a limb don't fall on me, I'll live till I die. Whiskey gave me a broken nose. Rye whiskey made me pawn all my clothes. Well, got a little bit of rye whiskey there for you, just for the hell of it. I had a great question come in from Sean. He wanted me to give my top 5 desert island banjo albums. So without further ado, what are the 5 banjo albums that I would want to listen to as I sat on the beach and starved to death waiting for a ship to not come rescue me? Number 5 would have to be Black Banjo Songsters of North Carolina and Virginia. This is a great album, you guys. This was all field recordings done by Dr. Cecilia Conway. This was put out by Smithsonian Folkways Records, but put out by Smithsonian Folkways. And it's a great album. It's got really good liner notes. Guys, there's 32 tracks in here of banjo field recordings. It's really good. It's got some black and white photos and some extensive liner notes. This is a must-have. This really, if you're interested in my music or any kind of other like authentic traditional banjo music, is a great place to start. This will blow your mind if you've never heard it before. It's not like the other stuff that we are used to listening to. Very archaic, great stuff in here. And it also has a book, an accompanying book that came with it too, called African Banjo Echoes in Appalachia. I read that when I was a teenager, and I probably need to get another copy and read it again, because I don't think I understood very much of it. Okay, the next one that's a must-have, Doc Boggs, his Folkways years, 1963 to 1968. Now this is another Folkways record, of course. It's a 2-disc set. It comes on these 2 yellow discs. And this is all field recordings done by Mike Seeger, I believe, the late Mike Seeger. And there's a ton of tracks in here too. A lot of people would say that his Doc Boggs 1927-28 record that he made in New York City is better. I think that's fantastic too, but the really definitive collection of his stuff, I think, is the stuff that Seeger recorded in the 60s. So, and there's a couple of tracks with Mike accompanying him on guitar on those CDs. Just great music. So get that, Doc Boggs, his Folkways years. The other one I would have to have, y'all, is part of the Deep River, Alan Lomax's Deep River of Song series, Mississippi Saints and Sinners. So Lomax went around the world, as you guys know, but he specifically really focused on the southeastern United States. And there's a whole series of these. This is put out by Folkways as well, I'm pretty sure. Well, this is Rounder Records. Rounder Records put this out, this series. Deep River of Song. It's great. They have one CD for almost every state in the South. It's all black people, all black music. It's fantastic. And I had this stuff on repeat. I bought every single one of those albums when I was a kid. They have one for Georgia, one for Texas. They have one for Appalachia. They have a South Carolina, Louisiana. My favorite is the Mississippi Saints and Sinners. That's probably the best one. Yeah. Next, I've got to throw up this Roan Mountain Hilltoppers, y'all. This is a more obscure band. And here's the back of this CD. This CD is called Down Home, came out in the early 80s. And I really do think that the Roan Mountain Hilltoppers, and in this configuration here, were Creed Birchfield on banjo, Joe Birchfield on the violin, his son, Bill Birchfield on guitar, and that's Janice Birchfield, Bill's wife, on the upright bass. Janice is the only one who's still with us. But I actually got to meet Bill and Janice a couple times. I don't think they knew or cared who I was, but I just listened, because they were still fantastic even when I met them. But in this configuration, when it was Joe and Creed still in the band, Guys, there's not a better instrumental string band album out there. They were about the best. So try to get that Roan Mountain Hilltoppers album. Anything they did is fantastic. They had a lot of different members later on. It was all good, but the original members of the band were the best. My number two that I would have to have, this is so popular probably that this might be cliche, but Mississippi John Hurt, his complete studio recordings. This is the definitive collection of his stuff. It's a 3-disc set in the studio, and unlike earlier recordings that people tried to make of Mr. Hurt, they plied him with a little bit of whiskey and I think a little bit of marijuana when he was doing those recordings. They got him real relaxed and comfortable, and he played probably the best music that I think any human could possibly play. This came out by, this is Vanguard Records, and it's this real slick looking set of 3 CDs. Fantastic music. This of course is very influential to me from my earliest days as the house that I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. My father played these CDs and records of this man on loop. He loved him. My dad actually had the honor of meeting Mississippi John Hurt back in the 60s when he was bumming around D.C. Before he went into the Army. And believe it or not, my father, John Hicks, actually slept on the same apartment floor as John Hurt for a few nights. And my dad can play harmonica, so he would, late at night when John wasn't out gigging or whatever, he would come back to the apartment and he'd still be playing, and he would come and sleep there because my dad and his friends, they had whiskey and they had reefer, and he could have as much as he wanted, and they would hang out and play, and so it was really cool. But he only stuck around for a few nights. I think Dad told me that once they ran out of whiskey and weed, that they woke up one morning and the old gentleman had bailed out on him early, and he went somewhere else. So a real character there. So guys, my number one Desert Island Banjo album that I would have to have, surprise, surprise, is going to be George Gibson's Last Possum Up the Tree. This was put out by Apple Shop Records up in Whitesburg, Kentucky, and that's APPAL Shop, not like the fruit apple, like Appalachia Apple Shop. And this is just a great album, guys. I mean, you know how much it's influenced me. I don't even need to go into that, but the art is great on it. The liner notes are extensive. There's lots of black and white photos in here, and lots of detail. He gives all the tunings. There's a bunch of tracks on here. 24 tracks on here, guys. And George was playing live. So it's a live performance. The recording quality I wish was better, but George is just perfect. He's he's great. And I really, people have even started to make fun of me a little bit because I bring his name up so much, but I almost feel sorry for those people, because if you think there's anything funny about that guy's music, you think it's goofy or something for somebody to be really into it, you must not have paid very close attention, because his music is amazing. He is the finest 5-string banjo player that we still have living with us today. He is a national treasure. He is a world treasure. He is a global cultural resource. I'm not exaggerating one bit. So please get that CD, y'all. Last Possum Up the Tree. Cool. I hope this has been helpful to you guys. Thanks for your question, Sean. That was cool. I never really think about stuff like that. Another person asked me, Lindsay. She wants to know what my number one banjo would be if I could snap my fingers and have any banjo in the world or whatever. What would that be? So I'm going to think about that, and maybe I'll upload that next. The other thing I'm going to give you guys, I haven't forgot that I'm in the middle of teaching you Frankie and Albert, also known as Frankie and Johnny, or just Frankie, in F sharp D E A D. So I know you guys want some close-ups of that, especially of the left hand, and we're going to do that for you, as well as a verbal discussion of different ways to play the song. Maybe we'll talk about some of the history of the song too. Okay guys, that's all the time I want to do on this. Thank you very much for your continued support, your contributions, your encouragement. It's really been great. I wake up every morning now and I am just eager to look at what you guys have submitted. I'm researching more than ever, I'm playing more than ever now, and I'm interacting more than ever now. So this is really great. Thank you all. I will talk to you soon.